Hey everyone, thanks for joining. We're going to go ahead and begin. Today, we're excited to present to you YCharts, best practices, how to get value from day one. Your host today is Jean Romero, Director of Inside Sales. As you follow along, please feel free to reach out to us with any questions using that chat function on the left-hand side of your screen. Do note that the content of this webinar is meant for educational purposes only and is not intended to be used as investment advice, nor is YCharts acting as an advising party regarding client funds in any way. Finally, we'll follow up with a recording of this webinar for all attendees. Now I'll pass things over to Jean to get us started.
Thank you, Allison, and thanks to everybody for joining here today. Really excited to show you some best practices within YCharts to ensure that you can get the most out of your subscription. Today, we're going to be going through a few different things, starting with our dashboard setup. Many of you that have signed up for a free trial in the past probably came in and didn't really know where to go from your dashboard page. So today I'll be showing you how to really make that dashboard work for you. We'll also be showing some best practices in terms of customizing your view to be able to evaluate and analyze the metrics and information that you care about most. And then being able to use and leverage YCharts to be able to set up alerts and make the system really go on autopilot so that way you're always on the pulse of the market. From there, we'll be going into our screening tools to be able to find new investment opportunities, save and track any results or companies, funds, or ETFs that fit our criteria. And lastly, we'll be going into a quick flow to be able to do some visual comparisons before we take a deep dive on a particular stock or fund. I'll also be talking a lot about our support resources that every YCharts subscriber has available to them and your ongoing account maintenance. As Allison mentioned, if any of you have any questions throughout the course of today's webinar, please go ahead and put them into the questions box and we'll be sure to answer them towards the end. I do expect this webinar to go for about 20 minutes. Don't want to keep you guys too late here, but want to make sure that we get to all of the questions and you guys know exactly how to best use YCharts. So let's go ahead and jump in. So as you'll see here, I have a blank YCharts account. This is what any user would see when they sign up for a trial or sign up for a subscription within YCharts. The first step in setting up your dashboard is really to build out various watch lists. To do that, you're just going to come to this Create New Watch List button right at the top of your screen and give your security watch list a name. So we are going to say Webinar Watch List. Down below, you'll be able to add in any combination of stocks, mutual funds, ETFs that you care about. To do that, just simply start to type the ticker symbol. If I just type Microsoft there, we can do that and hit enter, and it's going to show that it's been validated with that blue box. Another little shortcut here, or best practice, is to be able to add several different securities just by using a space in between the stock names. So what I'll do is type JPM, I'll throw in an ETF for fun, Home Depot, Apple, and Coca-Cola. Hit enter and you'll see that all of those results appear down here. Now, if you have a broader list and you don't want to type all of those ticker symbols into the field here, then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and upload those from an Excel spreadsheet. So simply highlight all the securities that you would want to add into one of your watch lists, copy those, paste them right here, hit add, and now you'll see that we have 62 results. So I didn't have to go in and type each symbol individually. I was able to bulk upload those, which is a huge time saver. Now that I have that watch list created, you'll see that we have the symbol, the name, and then some price and change information here. All of these columns are sortable just by clicking at the top. So if I want to sort them based on the worst performers to the best performers today, I can click at the top of that percent change. And because I'm a glass half full kind of guy, I like to see it from best performers to worst performers so I can see the best on today's performance. Once you have a watch list created, you'll also notice that a few different tabs have appeared up at the top of this watch list, being data, events, alerts, and news. The data tab here allows you to customize key columns of information for the securities that you care about on your watch list. So let's just say, for example, that we're not really interested in looking at a 3-year beta. I can eliminate that column, and then by using this options drop down here, I can add a different metric or even an informational column. So if I want to see the sector that each of these securities are in, I hit submit, and now we'll have a sector column, and you can always drag and drop and reorder these however you'd like. Of course, you can sort any of these columns just like we did on the overview tab. You'll also see in the events tab that we have upcoming earnings, dividends, splits, and spin-offs. If you're really only interested in looking at upcoming earnings, simply uncheck the others and you'll see upcoming earnings announcements for only the securities on your watch list. One of my favorite features in the watch list functionality is the ability to create and set alerts for these companies. So what you can do is come to this options drop down once again on this right hand side, and we will create or edit an alert. Now, I never like to get blindsided when a company really has a drop in a given day, but I also like to be notified when one of my stocks really hits a home run. So one of my favorite alerts to put in here is a 1-day return. That'll show you, and it will trigger an alert if a company goes up or down a specific amount in terms of percentage in a given day. So I'm going to do this 1-day returns daily. And then if you are looking for a 5% drop, let's say, what you'll do is you'll put this less than or equal to sign and then -5. And now if any of these companies fall 5% in a particular day, then you will have an alert within your YCharts account as well as push to your email. Now, if you're saying, well, how often does that alert get sent to my email? You can manage all of your alerts by using this little gear box in the bottom right-hand corner here. So if I open up that gear box and I go to my alerts manager, you'll see that I have it set up by default to receive alerts by email daily. So that'll come through first thing in the morning. Now, if you want to have that triggered as soon as the alert happens and it be sent to your email intraday, so in the middle of the day if something's going on, you can go ahead and toggle that to as soon as possible. The system will automatically save it and you're all set there. I'm going to go ahead and collapse this bottom news feed here just to open up a little bit more space on my dashboard page. Coming back to the overview tab, I do also want to highlight how the news flows in for just these companies. So if you come to a news tab here, it will only show you news stories related to the securities on your watch list, which is really nice because you aren't being inundated with news stories down here like at the bottom, following companies that maybe you're not really interested in. Here in this news tab, it will only be for the companies that you're interested in following. You'll also notice these little plus marks. What that does is it tells you if another company on your list was mentioned in a similar news story. So you can see that I have a couple of those, being Google and Microsoft, in addition to Discover Financial. So hopefully that gives you a good starting point on the dashboard. Of course, if you want to create or set up a new chart, you can do that over here on the right-hand side. Just as an example, if I wanted to create a new chart, I would just go ahead and add in S&P total return. Let's say that I want Barclays US Ag for some fixed income exposure and an MSCI ex-US for our international. I add those three in, and then it's going to ask you to add a financial metric. For indexes, I would always suggest using level or total return level, and then normalizing that. Normalizing it we'll get to in a little bit in our fundamental charting, but basically that's just going to show it as a percentage change. I save that chart, and just like that, I can see how 3 major indices have performed over different time periods. So this is a 1 year, but if I wanted to see a 3-month or a year to date, I can easily toggle to that. Now that we have our dashboard set up, let's go ahead and go find some new investment opportunities. To do this, I'm going to come to our Tools dropdown up at the top and go into our Stock Screener. Our Stock Screener will contain both individual stocks as well as ETFs. We do carry 35 years worth of fundamental history on publicly traded securities and 50 years worth of pricing and returns history. Now, once again, if you signed up for a free trial, you may not know how to best leverage the Stock Screener. I always recommend to our clients that you come into this new Stock Screen unsaved dropdown here and start off by taking a look at some of our templates that we have pre-built into the system. So we compile these from some of our power users, from some of our internal people, and then just some great ideas that we've had over the years. As you'll see, they're categorized into 4 separate sections, being growth, value, specialty, and events. If you're looking for growth stocks, then I would definitely recommend starting right here. As you can see, we have companies that have great earnings growth, forecasted growth, strong momentum, so on and so forth. If you're more of a value investor and you're interested in dividends and PE ratio, then I'd highly recommend taking a look at our value section. But for today, I'm actually going to use one of our specialty templates. What I'm going to select is called Positive Consensus Recommendations. For many of the retail investors out there, you want to be able to know that you have professional analysts recommending the companies that maybe you're looking at. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this template called Positive Consensus Recommendations. Once I hit start, it's going to take me into effectively a pre-built screen. As you can see, we're looking at companies traded on major US exchanges, have good consensus recommendations, strong earnings estimates, and the buy and outperform recommendations outweigh the underperform, sell, and hold recommendations. So this is effectively telling me that all of the analysts that cover each of these securities are fairly bullish on these stocks. Now, I launched this from a template, and you can see that we have about 225 results remaining. If you have specific criteria that you like to look at, then please feel free to add your own filters. As an example, if I come in to add filter, I'm going to use an equation, and I'm going to look for companies that have 5-year earnings growth. Notice the type search gives us a nice menu dropdown. I use EPS diluted, 5-year growth, and I'm just going to say greater than 5% each year. I hit submit, and that universe has now been whittled down from 225 securities down to an even more manageable list of about 78. If I also wanted to layer in revenue growth, I would do the exact same thing. So I don't even need to type the whole word revenue. I just type rev growth. You can see that there, 5%, hit submit, and now we're down to an even shorter list of 64. This is a great starting point. And then I also want to highlight the modify box. This allows you to dissect these companies a little bit more on a qualitative standpoint. So if I go ahead and I'm only interested in technology companies as an example, then all I would need to do is go to sectors, technology, and show me all technology companies that fit this criteria. Once I hit submit, then we're down to a shorter list of 14 names. So in just a few clicks here, what we've done is we've started off in the screening tool. We went in and found a template that seemed appealing to us. We added our own filters in and then intersected that with a specific sector. That took us down to under 15 companies in just a couple clicks. And that's really how YCharts helps enable smarter investment decisions, ensuring that you get the most out of your subscription. So now that we see some of these names here, I'm going to go ahead and take a look, and I can see a few names that are actually pretty interesting to me, and I'm going to go with some of the semiconductor companies. So I know that Applied Materials, Lam Research, and NVIDIA are all semiconductor companies. Now, a really streamlined way to be able to analyze and find the best opportunity for you as an investor is by leveraging our Quick Flows tab over on the far right-hand side of the screen here. Quick Flows are awesome because they allow you as the user to have shortcuts within the YChart system, really reducing your research time and being able to find the best opportunities possible. So I'm going to come up to the top here, and I'm going to do a quick flow comparison. And let's go ahead and take a few of these names. AMAT, LRCX, NVDA. Easy as that. And once you do that, you'll see that we have several different hyperlinks that can take us into different areas of the system. To start, I'm just going to go into our performance chart so that way we can begin to visually compare these three companies. Once we're in here, we can see that we have a 1-year performance chart pulled up. So we can see the three companies and just their price returns over the past year. Now I want to have a little bit more history myself, so let's go ahead and take this out to a 3-year chart. We screened on earnings and revenue, so how about we start to visualize those metrics by just typing them into this financial metrics search bar. This left-hand side of your screen is going to be basically your control panel, where you can search for any company or metric within the YCharts system. You can also use this browse feature to go into a library of metrics if you're not really sure what to search for. This is a great starting point as well. But I know what I'm going to look for. I'm going to add our revenue and our earnings per share. Once I've overlaid those, you can see that this is a bit of a messy chart, right? So in order to be able to interpret and dissect this data a little bit more efficiently, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go down below where I had searched for financial metrics, and I'm going to go to this panel layout section. You have a couple different options here. One, you can break up the panels into individual securities. So you'll see Applied Materials at the top, Lam Research, and then NVIDIA. But I also want to have a head-to-head comparison across these different metrics. So once I put that in there, we can have the performance chart at the top, the revenue, and then the earnings per share down below. So now what is this telling me? It's telling me that Lam Research has outperformed the other two securities. Meanwhile, NVIDIA has the best revenue growth over the past 3 years, as well as Lam has also done the best in terms of the earnings per share growth. Pretty interesting stuff. But just keep in mind that that's only on a 3-year look back. And if we maybe take this out over a longer period, we may see things start to change a little bit. And now what we're seeing is NVIDIA has significantly outperformed the other two stocks, not only in terms of returns, but also in terms of revenue growth and earnings. So it seems pretty attractive to me. I can go ahead and come up here and save this chart if I want to. So I can say I want my semi. If I like that chart, I can always come back to it. Just come into fundamental chart, go to open, and now it'll be right there for future use. We also do have a lot of templates within YCharts on the charting side. So once again, if you're just looking for some ideas, I'd highly suggest coming in here and looking at different sector performance, or maybe some major US banks with interest rates on the move. Things like that can be really helpful as you look to select some different securities. But now that we have kind of identified NVIDIA as our most promising stock, let's go ahead and take a deep dive on that company. I'm just going to go ahead and search for it up at the top here. And that'll take us into the quote or the overview tab here. Up along the top, you'll see that you can add notes to a specific security just to document your thoughts and have them for future use. You can go back into quick flows if you prefer. Of course, you can create just a specific alert like I did for the watch list earlier, but just on this company. For example, if I want to know if their price to book value goes below 15, it's currently at 19, that's an alert that I could set just for NVIDIA here. You'll also notice on the right-hand side of the screen that we have our own proprietary Y rating system. I put a lot of stock into the fundamental score, so I'm going to go ahead and click in there to start because I love to see a strong fundamental score. Now you'll see that this is a simple pass-fail of 10 different metrics here. And, excuse me, a simple pass-fail of 10 different metrics, and it's checking the boxes on all of them, except for it hasn't consistently paid dividends over the past 10 years. Now that's not to say that it isn't a good company. And if we want to take a deep dive on dividends, then we can go ahead and come to the data tab up at the top here. Let's just go ahead and look at their dividends. I click on dividend, and now you can see a dividend growth chart. So they have been paying dividends over the past several years, never have dropped their dividend, and are currently paying at 16 cents a share. So while they haven't paid a dividend for the past 10 years, like it says in the fundamental score, we can go ahead and look under the hood and see that they actually do have pretty decent dividend consistency since they started paying a dividend. You'll also notice a few other tabs up along the top of the screen here. Financials are great because you're no longer going to have to go to various SEC websites and be able to look at 10Ks and 10Qs. YCharts will consolidate all of that for you. Not only will you have access to 10K and 10Q information, but you'll see that we have different formats. So if you wanted to see NVIDIA's quarterly year-over-year revenue growth, a simple toggle there will show all of that data in no time. There's also an export data box. So if you are proficient in Excel and you want to be able to take this into an Excel spreadsheet, simply click export data, and that'll send this entire screen into a nice Excel doc. Another one of my favorite tabs is going into this estimates section. So if you recall, we were looking at companies that have positive earnings recommendations coming from the analysts. We get all of our analyst recommendations from S&P Global. So a leading source in terms of data there. And you'll see all of the different analyst recommendations. So on the right-hand side of my screen, I'm going to highlight this a little bit, where you can see that they have 19 buy recommendations, 10 outperform, 8 hold, and only 1 underperform, which is pretty positive. You'll also see that they have a consensus price target of $630, while NVIDIA is currently trading at $519, giving you, the investor, a 26% upside on your investment. One of my other favorite charts is going to be down here below, which is the earnings estimates versus their historical actual earnings. This chart is great because it shows that NVIDIA has consistently outperformed the estimates that the analysts had put out there. So if you are looking at an upcoming earnings announcement, you can rest assured that NVIDIA has a great track record of historically outperforming the estimates there. There are a few other tabs up here that I really like to highlight. Number one being the performance tab. So you can see that we automatically throw a couple of different comps in here. You can always manage comparables within YCharts. So if I wanted to take a couple of these comps out and add in those that we were looking at in the screener, you can do so, and the system will automatically update all of the performance information by year, by trailing returns, your performance ratios, some of that ROE and ROA and ROIC metrics right there. So all very streamlined, just to, once again, help you save time. So now that we've taken a deep dive on a particular company, you know, this seems great. Why don't we go ahead and add this to our watch list that we created at the beginning? And now we have that added to our watch list, and we'll be able to track that moving forward if I come back into our dashboard page. Now, I believe we fielded a question. How about funds? Yeah, so YCharts has a lot of great fund information. We get all of our fund data from Morningstar and have all of the metrics and characteristics that you may be familiar with, like their rank and category information, their style box exposures. All of that great information is absolutely pulling into YCharts. In addition to just the funds and the stocks that we've been going through today, we also do carry a broad offering in terms of our index coverage. Headlining that group would be the S&P, Bloomberg, MSCI, Russell, and many more. We also have hundreds of thousands of economic indicators within YCharts that investors can leverage when it comes to their analysis. So let's take stock here really quickly. We have a lot of data, and we were able to get through that very effectively here today. Some of the tools that we covered being the dashboard, the fundamental charts, the stock screener. The fund screener will operate very similarly to the stock screener. And then one of the most important things with any new service, I'm sure, is that you know how to leverage it. So we do a lot of webinars and trainings like this on a regular basis. You also do have an entire YCharts team at your disposal to help you get the most out of the system. So under the support tab up here, you can always come to our support topics section. There are a lot of great training videos. So once again, if you leave this and you're saying, I don't really remember to, I don't really remember how to set up my dashboard. Just simply come in here and watch one of these videos, and that'll help you out. You'll also have a chat with us button. So Allison, who did my wonderful intro, her and her team are always here to help if you want to chat in with a specific question. And you can always come to this contact us button. So any subscriber does have a dedicated account manager. In this case, I am my own, but you would be able to work with one of our great team members here for ongoing training, support, or any questions that you may have on a one-on-one basis. So there you go. We got through a lot here today. We are offering a very nice special for the month of March. So any new subscriber to our professional tier will get a 20% discount, and same goes for our standard tier. I know several of you asked for pricing information on the webinar registration link. So our standard tier is $3,600 per year, and our professional tier is $6,000 per year, less 20% if you sign up in the month of March. So I'm going to go ahead and send out a quick poll. Please go ahead and fill that out, and we'll look forward to working with you. We'll be in touch if you have any questions or would like more information. Thank you again for your time, and have a great evening.
All right, thank you, Jean, as we finish up on that poll, and thank you everyone else for participating in today's webinar. We'll be sure to send a copy of this webinar to all attendees in case you want to review anything that Jean discussed today or to share it with any of your colleagues. We appreciate any feedback that you might have shared with us. If you submitted any questions that we weren't able to get to during today's webinar, we'll be sure to follow up with the information you're looking for. Thanks again, everyone.